My family told me not to come to New Year's Eve because I'd just make everyone uncomfortable, so I spent it alone in my apartment. But at exactly 12:01 a.m., my brother called. His voice was shaking. "What did you do? Dad just saw the news and he's not breathing right." I was the family disappointment for 10 straight years. Dropped out of college sophomore year, bounced between warehouse jobs, moved into a studio above a laundromat that smelled like dryer sheets and old pennies. My older brother Tobias went to Wharton, married a cardiologist, bought a house with a circular driveway. My sister Pilar made partner at her firm at 31. Every holiday was a comparison contest I was guaranteed to lose. So when Mom called 3 days before New Year's and said, "Maybe sit this one out, sweetie. Your father's blood pressure can't handle the tension," I just said okay and hung up. Tobias texted later, "It's better this way. You always make things weird." So I bought a frozen pizza and a 6-pack of grocery store beer and watched the ball drop alone. Then at 12:01, my phone lit up. Tobias. His voice was shaking so hard I could barely understand him. "What did you do?" "Dad just saw the news and he's not breathing right." I sat up. "What news?" He was crying now. "The plane, the Newark crash. Your name is on the manifest." I went cold all over. 3 weeks earlier, I'd been booked on flight 4471, Newark to Tampa, leaving December 31st at 7:40 p.m. I'd booked it back in November when I still thought I was invited to my aunt's place for brunch. After Mom uninvited me, I'd canceled and gotten a partial refund. But the airline never updated the manifest. The plane had gone down over the Carolinas at 11:47 p.m., 43 people on board, no survivors. And my family had spent the last 14 minutes of the year believing I was dead. I should have called them right then. I should have said, "I'm fine, I canceled, I'm here." Instead, I sat on my futon and listened to my brother sob into the phone, and something in my chest that had been tight for 10 years just loosened. "I'm here," I said quietly. I canceled the flight. Tobias went silent for a long time. Then he said, in a voice I'd never heard from him, "Oh, thank God. Thank God, thank God, thank God." "Put Dad on," I said. "He's on the floor," Tobias whispered. "Mom's giving him his nitro. He saw the news ticker and just went down." I drove over. 41 minutes across town in a borrowed Civic, my hands at 10 and 2 like I was 16 again. When I walked through the front door, the house was full. Tobias and his wife, Pilar and her husband, Aunt Marisol from Tampa, cousins I hadn't seen in 4 years. They were all in their party clothes, mascara streaked, champagne flutes abandoned on side tables. My father was on the couch with an oxygen tube under his nose. When he saw me in the doorway, he made a sound I'd never heard a grown man make. He held out both arms. I walked over and let him grab me like I was 7. His whole body was shaking. I told them I canceled 3 weeks ago. I would have said something earlier, but nobody asked where I was tonight. The room went very quiet. Pilar set down her glass. Mom started crying into a dish towel. Tobias just stared at the carpet. Then Aunt Marisol stood up. She was 72 and 4'11", and she walked across that living room with her purse still on her shoulder and stood in front of my mother. "You told him not to come," she said. "Mom wouldn't look at her. You said he'd make everyone uncomfortable." "Mom said it wasn't like that." Marisol turned to my father. "You sat in that chair and agreed." My father couldn't speak. Marisol turned to Tobias. "You sent him a text." I saw it. Tobias's face was the color of paper. Marisol pulled an envelope from her purse and dropped it on the coffee table. "I was going to give this to him at brunch tomorrow," she said. "Your grandfather's watch. He wanted it to go to whichever grandson actually called him every Sunday for the last 6 years of his life." She looked around the room. "None of you knew he did that, did you?" She picked up her coat. "I'm going to a hotel. Call me when you figured out who you are." The door closed behind her. Nobody moved. My father looked up at me with the oxygen tube fogging. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry." I sat down next to him. I didn't say it was okay.